Okay, good afternoon. Just gone 20 to 5. Just going to have a quick rundown of the charts and the moves that we've seen today. We'll obviously talk about the calendar for tomorrow a bit later on, but I think the main chart people will be talking about currency-wise is cable here. Perhaps during this talk we might get to the 140, which we did talk about this morning. I did feel we'd get a test of it this week. Whether that would have been straight away, I don't think I could have convinced myself for that. Quite a quiet morning data-wise, with nothing really scheduled in. So it's a case of just sort of waiting to see for quite a few of these markets before getting involved. But as you've seen in through trading live, quite a few people had some nice trades. The live guys here had one of their better days as a group collectively. If we just run through the pound here, you can see we did push above the morning high, and just from drawing that line there, you can see how good the classic trade was later on there. So was resistance, broke through R1, came back. The trade from a bit lower down on what was the previous sort of morning support offered quite a good level to get in. We pushed higher. The dollar has continued to be quite weak as well. I mean, at this point here, the dollar index was down about 0.3%. I mean, since last January, really, it has been significantly weaker, and that's continued there. The positive sentiment around pound sort of remains, and it seems quite hard to budge at the moment. And we've continued to push on, and it was a case, I think, and for a lot of these markets, as we'll come on to, where you want to be involved when you have like a technical break to the upside, if it matches your bias to be looking to buy, or if the lows of the day break significantly and the sellers come in to sort of go with the flow. And that's what happened with pound here. You really did see a nice break of that R1 where the buyers took over, and then we drove higher and made the new 2018 high. You can see these levels circled up here. Did get a break, and obviously that now offers a level of support that if we do come back down to, could be a nice place to get in to perhaps have another go at the 140 level that you see marked up at the top. Euro, bigger things going on for the euro later on in the week, and I saw it that's sort of resembled by the price action you've seen. Same time the pound was pushing on this morning, you did have euro pushing higher, mainly because of the weaker dollar. But since then it's been quite choppy and range bound. We'll come on to the calendar for tomorrow later on, like I mentioned, but it's probably going to pick up a bit later on into the week. Wouldn't really be my focus right now, but again, if you were having a long bias for the euro and looking to trade now, it'd be a case of sort of saying, well, look, if we get out of this range that we're in, break above the R1 for example, the buyers are then really sort of nicely in control, and you can target Friday's high. Or it could be, if you're looking for a selling opportunity, when would the sort of sellers really take over, where it could be a break of the low of the day, nice break there before breaking through as well to those lows. So euro quite range bound, Japanese yen, albeit just trying to push higher now, obviously quite choppy as well ahead of the interest rate decision tomorrow. So worth keeping an eye on actually the dollar yen here, just coming under a bit of pressure on the yen side as the dollar looks to push on. Nothing coming out, just a bit of a technical push there in what has been quite a range bound day. Dollar CAD, similar kind of thing this morning. You saw range bound trade before a nice technical push lower. What was the morning low held as good resistance, breaking through there, and then once what was then the low of the day broke, offered another chance for the sellers to come into the market. A lot of the talk this morning, government shutdown, what impact it would have, if any, and it was a good sort of cash open for US equities if we did push higher. We mentioned this morning, similar to sort of the pound, looking to sort of trade it, well, let the market tell you what's happening and trade accordingly. So when the new highs, or you can say all-time highs for the Nasdaq and S&P, as we'll go on to show you for the Nasdaq, when they broke, the buyers really did come into the market. and you can see the technical levels responding quite well for both here on the S&P and the Nasdaq once we broke through that high and pushed on there as well. So some good opportunities in equities. Didn't really come under that much pressure today. You can see here the Nasdaq, what was the low of pretty much the whole day, held very firm. S&P, similar situation around that pivot. We pushed on as the sentiment sort of brushes aside the government shutdown, which has been on sort of everyone's lips probably since September really, but kept getting pushed on, and you haven't really seen any sort of negative sentiment from that. All the talk of previous government shutdowns and their return on stock markets not really causing a worry or anything along those lines. The Dow also pushed higher, albeit, and same story as last week, just not as strongly as the other two, but we did break through and we've come back to find support on the previous highs to look for a push on, and it could be an interesting sort of close for US equities if we do get some more clarification at 5 on the shutdown idea. Oil, not long ago, technical push higher from not just today but also Friday's high, and you can see where we found resistance following Thursday's sort of top around 5 o'clock, pretty much to the tick, come back down there, and obviously today's previous high around 63.60 on the futures could offer a nice level of support if we were to make our way back down. But following that sort of technical push, you're starting to see a bit of profit taking, and still for oil, if I just make this chart a bit smaller, we are stuck within this sort of consolidation range, something to be aware of there. The DAX, as mentioned with Euro, focus is really going to be on data releases perhaps tomorrow, and then obviously the press conference and interest rate decision out of the ECB. Quite a tricky one to really call in terms of direction for the week, I would say. But you can see here quite a range bound day, and I know a few people trade that range quite nicely. In terms of the high, Friday's high, if we were to push on through there, you can see you would have to really make this chart a bit smaller to see it could then open the door to those all-time highs we saw not long ago, back in the back end of 2017. So could be an interesting week for the DAX, but for now, focus elsewhere. Gold, we mentioned, gapped higher over the weekend, filled the gap almost immediately, as did US equities, but the other way around. And since then, it's been quite a choppy one, as focus has been in other markets. Data calendar for tomorrow, as you can see, got a bit of data at 10 AM out of Germany, so the euro is something I'd keep an eye on for that there as well. Oil back in its usual slot, 9:30 for the APIs on the Tuesday, no bank holiday, and obviously you've got to take into account whatever happens for the Bank of Japan rate decision as well. Focus for the rest of the day for those sticking about would be whether we can get that 140 in cable, which has come down quite strongly now to what was the 2018 high, whether we can continue to push on in US equities. The Nasdaq is sort of outperforming out the three. Can the Dow catch up? And then oil as well, what's going to go on there. They would be the main sort of markets I'd be focusing on. The yen still coming under a bit of pressure there. You had a nice technical push higher on that dollar yen chart as well. Any questions, obviously please do get them in the chat. If not, I'll catch you all tomorrow.